All right, good morning, everybody. We are right at 8 o'clock, and we wish to be very respectful of your time today. I'd like to welcome you to the Salem-area Chamber of Commerce. I know we have a number of our members in this room. Very briefly, what our organization is about is we are a small business advocacy organization. If you see one chamber, you see one chambers. We are not your turkey trot chamber or doggy ride-along chamber. We are a very advocacy-strong chamber, and we're very proud to partner with the City of Salem on a number of projects. We are a strategic partner for them. We are not always in perfect agreement with our Salem City Council, but one of the important bedrocks of our organization is working hand in hand with the city to create positive outcomes. Our small business community, our large and medium business community need opportunities to keep dollars locally in this community. What you're going to hear about today is opportunities of almost just under $1 billion between the bond fund and the capital fund. And so I'm very happy to have each of you in this room, and it would please me very much if many of you get opportunities to contract with the City of Salem and we can keep these dollars locally, if not in the greater Salem area, certainly in the Oregon market. Thank you for being risk takers. For those of you who are owners of private companies, I came 15 years out of the private sector prior to being back at the Salem Chamber. I know the struggles that you go through, and if you're an employee, know that your owner or owners are taking significant risks to be operating in Oregon. We are one of the most complex and challenging states in the nation to do business in. So I applaud each of you for being risk takers and for keeping jobs locally in this community. Before we get started and introduce Alan Dannen and his talented team here with Salem Public Works, I want to introduce you to two individuals on our chamber staff team. Actually, let me preface that. Dan Johnson is doing our recording today. Dan is our marketing and communications manager. Wonderful gentleman. Dan, thanks for your work today. And behind him is Jameson Gideon, our director of business advocacy. We not only as a chamber take business advocacy so seriously that Jameson's work is a full-time work in that field. He's also a practicing attorney. Most of my time is spent in the field of advocacy. And we also have a contract lobbyist who works at the Oregon State Capitol. So again, we are working very strategically to try and make a business environment here in Salem much healthier for each of you. Next, I want to introduce you to Jackie Roche, our membership manager. Yeah, I would not be doing my job for our board of directors if I did not plug a little bit of membership. I know a number of you are members, and I thank you for that. For those of you who are not, I'd like you to consider it. We are a place of building community and connection. So, Jackie, a little bit about chamber membership.
Thank you, Tom. It's a wonderful turnout. Thank you for coming, everyone. If you're not a member and you're curious about learning more about what we do, I'd love to take you out for coffee and chat with you, teach you what I know. I am also I was a member before I was staff because we own a small business as well. So I understand what it's like to run a business and the support that you can get from having us in your corner, fighting for you, making connections. That's my job, is to figure out how I can help you succeed in business. And we have an amazing team to support that. If you are a member, still reach out to me because I want to help support you. So thank you so much for being here this morning.
And you might notice I'm using a microphone, but you're not hearing any amplified sound. That is because we are recording this, so it has some bedrock. And for the member businesses that are not in the room, they can watch this afterwards. What it will also force is when we go to the Q&A section, we're going to have to wait a moment, and Jameson is going to bring you this microphone so we can pick everything up. Second individual I'd like to introduce you to is Judy on our C-Tech team. Judy, how many of you have heard of C-Tech? Gosh, I hope it's most of you. If you haven't, we have an absolute gem in our community and partner with the Salem-Keizer School District and Mountain West Center for Community Excellence. And C-Tech is putting our next generation of students who know they want to be in the trades directly out of high school into these fields. Judy and her husband are very involved in the building and construction industry. In fact, Curtis, her husband, is in charge of that at C-Tech. Judy is a liaison with the Salem Chamber, and if you would like to have students either a part of being feeding into your workforce, or if you would be willing to showcase your workforce to students, Judy is our connection point there. So Judy, would you mind describing a little bit about what you do and how these people can help you best? This is Judy Fisher.
Sure. Good morning. What I do is I like to introduce our students to people in the industry, so that they can possibly partner. We can possibly partner with them. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was going to be talking this morning, and have them. Maybe the industry partners come in, do mock interviews, let us do internships, job shadows. Come in and teach our students how to do something hands-on that has to do with whatever trade they're in, or let us come to your job site and so they can see exactly what's going on. We've had a lot of positive placement that way. That's what I do. So if you're interested in that at all, reach out to me. My phone number is, I have cards up front, or I have some with me. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Judy. Supporting CTEC is just a good feeling all around. So one last introduction I'll do, and then we're going to turn it over to our public works team. Courtney Knox-Bush is here from the city, an incredible conduit that the business community has with the city. So most of our communications, our strategic efforts, whether it's with the city manager's office or partnering with city council for hopefully some little better outcomes than we've had over the last few years. Courtney is our liaison there. And so if you are curious about getting plugged into the city or how your company can interact either better or greater engagement, Courtney Knox-Bush is a great point person. So with that, Alan, I'm going to turn it over to you. I want to thank all of you for being here and donating this time. And thank you for helping us keep these dollars local. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Tom. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alan Dannen. I am the city engineer with the City of Salem, and I've been with the City of Salem now for just over 17 years. I know Courtney likes us to share that information when we're out talking to folks. And I'll let the rest of our team introduce themselves as we go through our presentation. Before I dive in, though, I really do want to say an extra special thank you to Tom and the whole team here at the Chamber, Jameson and Dan. We really appreciate this opportunity to get face-to-face with you all and share what's happening as far as City of Salem Public Works and construction opportunities are coming forward. So really appreciate the opportunity to be here. We're going to keep the slide presentation relatively brief. So 2 objectives with the slideshow that we want to provide for you all is really just, like I said, an overview of what's coming up for construction in 2025. Last year was a busy construction season. 2025 is going to be even more busy. I was about to say more busier, but that didn't seem quite right. So that's one. And then 2, just kind of give you an overview of the safety and livability bond program that Tom mentioned at the top, where we are with that, sort of as an overview of where a lot of these projects are coming from. And then just, I do have a few photos at the end of some of the projects that were completed last year, so you can see some of the work that's been completed up till now. So I'll start with that safety and livability bond update. Then we'll go through the projects kind of by sector and give you a little detail on each one that's coming up where there's bidding opportunities. Shauna Self from our Contracts and Procurement Division will talk a little bit about the specifics to get involved, and then we'll go over those 2024 highlights and then have time for your questions. So I think most folks are familiar, but back in November 2022, we were so fortunate to have Salem voters approve the safety and livability bond. So that bond is $300 million in capital project funding over the 10 years from when the bond was approved. And the way that bond was structured was the city had debt that was coming off the books that was funded by property taxes. So this new bond comes on the books and keeps that levy level. So the city property tax rate that you're seeing stayed the same, but allowed us to fund this amount of projects. So that means we don't get all that money up front. It comes in over time, but work on those projects have begun. For this presentation, we're going to be focusing kind of on 3 sectors. So the big green section of the pie chart, and we will have a PDF of this slide deck available for you all. I realize this is kind of hard to read. So the big green section of the pie chart is streets and sidewalk funding. That's a little over $150 million, so about half of the package. We'll also talk about the parks projects, which is about $30 million in round figures, and seismic retrofit at Civic Center, which is about $40 million. So one other thing I wanted to highlight before I turn it over to the folks with expertise about the specific projects, and Tom mentioned this in his opening remarks, we are definitely on board with wanting to sort of maximize the local economic impact of these funds. It's a once-in-a-generation opportunity to have this kind of funding injected for capital projects, and we want that to go as far as possible. So we're doing a couple things to try to make sure that happens. One is we're tracking local participation, and that's what these tables show. And two is, as most folks know, I'm sure, the vast majority of our work is done according to the state procurement rules, which mean we put together a design package contract for bids for anybody to bid on. That's a qualifying bidder, and typically the lowest bidder is awarded that contract. So we can't just pick who we want. We have to follow those rules, and the best way for us to make sure that the local community gets involved is events like this, where you all know what's coming and can put it on your radar for what's to be bid. And we want to make sure that we're available to answer questions and make sure there's no barriers for everyone to participate. So that's those are the things that we're doing. So far, we've been very successful with that effort. You can see here on the left-hand side, we've awarded almost $20 million in contracts, a little over, and about 70% of that has gone to firms that are local. And the definition we're using there is has an office in Marion or Polk County. So we are using some nationwide and regional consultants, but if they have an office here in town, they're included in that number. So I think that's it for me as far as preamble goes. I'm going to turn it over to Rick Barnes, clear at the far end of the table, to talk about transportation. So, okay, if you like. Here's the clicker.
Thank you, sir. You don't want to click for me?
Here's the mic that doesn't do. I will click for you.
You're going to click for me? Well, good morning, everyone. I think I can figure out the clicker, so I think I got it. That's right. So my name is Rick Barnes. I'm the assistant city engineer working for Allen that deals with transportation projects. So a lot of the pie that you saw, my team is delivering that, partnering with consulting firms from around the area. I've been with the city almost 30 years. So similar to Allen, we have a lot of folks and a lot of institutional knowledge of what's going on and everything. So the first project we want to kind of highlight is our 2025 pavement R&R project that's coming up. It's a main intersection widening project at 17th and Silverton Road, a new traffic signal, and a bunch of new pavement obviously going through there. It's actually going to be what's called a road diet. So it's actually going to go from the 4-lane section that's out there right now to 3 lanes. So one each direction, a center turn lane, and then bike lanes as well out there. It will also include some ADA ramp installations, and then the main project as well, some utility avoidance, which is a sewer CIPP, and I'm going to blank on what CIPP stands for, but it's the liner that they put into the pipe to be able to cured in place pipe. Thank you. I'm a transportation guy, not necessarily a utility guy. But that actually is on the street right now, opens on the 4th of February. So if any of you all do that kind of work, definitely look for that. Construction is going to be over 2 construction seasons. So it basically will start this summer, take a little hiatus during the fair, and then pick back up after that with the pavement work. About $12 million on that. So a good sized project coming up there. The next one that we have, come on. There we go, is a new traffic signal at Davis Road and Liberty Road down by the school right there. Again, it will have ADA curb ramp work involved with a intersection. There will actually be a new pedestrian crossing a little bit farther to the south on Liberty Road, a mid-block crossing through there. Not near as big or as large of a project as the pavement R&R, about about $1.2 million. But then we have that one is not on the street yet, but will be coming out in February for bid opening in March. We have a project that is on the street right now, which is a bridge rehabilitation project. So part of the bond work is to repair 4 of our bridges that are currently load rated. And you can see the listings that are there. Mission Street, 15th Street, and 17th Street over Mill Creek. Missions over Pringle, and Liberty over Mill. It's also about a $1.5 million project. It's a unique project in the aspect of we're actually doing reinforcement from underneath the bridge. So we're not tearing it up or anything. That would be a lot more than $1.5 million for 4 bridges. But we're actually putting strengthening rebar reinforcement underneath and epoxying it in to be able to remove those load ratings that are out there. Kind of specialty work there. And then for any of you who have been out in the McGillcrest area lately, we had a big project that was done and completed this last summer. We have phase 2 of the project, which is going to be from basically where we stopped on the east end over to 25th. So it's Ford Street over to 25th Street. Construction is looking to begin on that this summer. That is on the street right now. It is federally funded in this, so that makes it a little bit different than some of our bond projects in which there's some DBE requirements that are associated with it and the like. That one is going to be about $8 million for construction for this year. It opens on the 4th of February. So again, if you're looking for something, get on it quick, because Shauna does not accept any late bids on that kind of stuff. She will tell you that in a little bit. But this is the next phase of a multi-year project to where we are improving the whole corridor through there. And then the phase 3 project, which is currently under design, will then be coming in 26 and 27 out there. 2 construction season. That involves a lot of work associated with the culvert replacement over Pringle Creek to help with some of the flooding that's been out there and usually happens on I won't say a regular basis, but it's not uncommon. And then main improvements to the railroad tracks there as well. So that's going to be a good challenging project. And then also we have another phase of downtown streetscape improvements coming up. Again, if you've been in the downtown core area, it's something our urban renewal agency has dedicated a substantial amount of funds for basically bringing all of those areas adjacent to the existing buildings up to current ADA standards, working in the parking areas as well to be able to bring those up for ADA parking. We usually do these as 2 projects a year. So this is the first phase that's coming out in April of this year for bidding. And then there's usually one in the fall. There's a downtown moratorium during the Christmas season, holiday season, where basically you can't do any work down there from, I think it's November 1st through the holidays. So we try and do 2 projects in the area so that you can basically have a summertime project that hits it pretty hard. There's a break for the holiday season and then come back in late winter and early spring to get that wrapped up. But that is coming again. This one is $2 million. And again, there will be another one this fall that will also be about the same scope of everything. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on our pedestrian improvements that are coming up. I'm going to have to flip my own slide so I can see it better because it's too far away to read. But we have a number of improvements coming up this year. These are kind of a combination of missing sidewalk work that's coming up, also and some just straight pedestrian crossings. So Sunnyview at Hollywood that's coming up is one that's just basically a rapid flashing beacon that's going to be out there ADA ramps on both sides. That's actually opened yesterday. I should have asked Shauna, do you know how it came in yesterday? A lot of bids. So that was good competition on that. We have another one that is out on the street right now for February 18th opening, State Street at 25th, which is some intersection work and pedestrian crossing work. McClay at Kaplinger is one that's coming up that I wanted to highlight, that's missing sidewalk and ped crossings in the area. And actually, one of the things I wanted to highlight too is if you see it on the cost estimates of all of these, in parentheses, there's basically shows how much of money we were able to leverage from various areas. So, for example, on the Sunnyview project, a $375,000 project, but we were able to get $125 from Safe Routes to School grant through the state. State in 25th is similar. It's $1 million project, and we got almost $600,000 from ODOT through one of their transportation safety funds that is there. McLean Kaplinger, the same thing. It's a $2.2 million project, and we were able to leverage $1.7 million of Safe Routes to School funds. Another one on Market Street at Aguia's Court, ped crossing right there by the school. It's kind of the same message, $325,000 total with $260,000 Safe Route to School grant. And then we have two federally funded projects that are coming in, pedestrian safety, improved crossings at 4 different locations. The text was already small enough, so I didn't list all of those, but those will be coming out in May for advertisement. And that's about a $2 million project in which we were able to get about 1.2 in federal grant. And then Orchard Heights Road Northwest, a missing sidewalk and ped crossing at Orchard Heights Park. That'll be coming out this fall for a bid opening. And again, a $2.4 million total project with about a $1.7 million grant. So a lot of these things we've been able to leverage dollars from other areas to be able to stretch the limited funds that we have together. So that is our transportation program coming up that you will see this year. And Aaron Edelman and I will be available after this for any questions you have about those projects too. So Alan, I give it back to you.
I'm just going to give it right to you.
Okay.
Stand up.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Aaron Kimsey. I'm also an assistant city engineer. My team works on many of the parks projects that are in design and construction, as well as vertical construction. So we're handling the Civic Center project as well. So let's see if is this thing working? I noticed you were doing a lot of the clicking. Okay. So we have some upcoming projects here this summer. We have our athletic court improvements. And if you were here last year, you heard me speak about the athletic courts. We had 2 projects that were delivered this past summer. I guess I'll say 2 parks. It was one project with 2 parks. And then this summer we've got what we're calling phase 2 of that program. And we're delivering 3 parks within that. It's going to be one project, 3 parks, and it's about $1.5 million. And that work includes pavement, fencing. One of the parks has lighting, some irrigation, landscaping, kind of the things you would think would be associated with a sports court within a park. And then we have Gear Park, which is one of the bond projects. And it's a fairly large one. It's coming in around 3.3 million, and we're forecasting that to be bidding and hitting the streets in April. That's a large one. So it includes the sports fields regrading of the baseball fields and the adjacent soccer fields, as well as constructing a new dog park, a couple shelters that go along with that. And some drainage as well within those field improvements. And then lastly, for this summer, we've got some playground structure improvement projects. So we've lumped those into one project. It's 2 parks, Livingston Park and Morningside Park. The estimate's about 1.3 million, and we're forecasting that to be on the streets in March. So that project essentially is some excavation of the existing playground, removal of the structure, drainage, curb work, flat work, that kind of thing, and then installation of the structures. So this was just going to highlight Gear Park construction, so you can kind of see in the outline there of the area that that project encompasses. It also includes a little stretch to the north there that includes constructing a new pathway, sidewalk that goes up to the state hospital up there with a pedestrian crossing. So yeah, again, like I said before, this has got shelters, a dog park, infield turf at the baseball fields. So that's something that we added. And then the grading and drainage. So a pretty significant project. I'll just mention there's another project to the north within Gear Park as well. That's the skate park. I believe that one's design build. And I think that contractor is already on the streets currently getting bids for some of the subcontractor work. So I think we missed the window on getting that advertised to you guys, but hopefully you're aware of it already. And if it's work that you can do, you're putting something together. All right. And then I wanted to mention some upcoming projects. So these aren't going to be in construction this summer, but they're in design right now, and just wanted to make you aware of them. So McKay Park is another bond park that's getting some pretty large improvements. It's got soccer field upgrades, a new shelter, restrooms, which include the utilities that are needed for that. So it's currently in design and scheduled for construction in 2026. And then Riverfront Park is getting a pretty massive playground improvement, remodel, rehab. So it's currently in design right now. So this project's a little unique. There's a bond project that's supposed to replace the existing playground equipment, but we've leveraged the bond money and have received a grant to expand that park area's play area. So it's going to be a lot larger than it is today. And so we got some pretty exciting renderings of what that space is going to look like when that happens. And so that's scheduled for construction in 2026. Similar type work, flat work, excavation, removal, installation, that kind of thing. And then Riverfront Park, electrical upgrade. That's a kind of a, not necessarily a specialty project, but definitely more unique in the fact that it's just generally a utility project. We're providing for a new electrical backbone within the park to provide better service during the park events that happen out there. So what's the electrical system that we have out there doesn't really meet code anymore. So lots of conduit going in on that, electrical cabinets, that kind of thing. So that's in design right now and construction in 2026. That one will happen. Just a little more information on that one. Because of all the activities that happen at Riverfront Park, we're going to schedule that one so the contractor can go in and do a little bit on the shoulder seasons. So try to do some work in like early spring before the summer hits, take a break, try to get the site ready for to be safe for park use, and then come back in the fall after a lot of the events have completed and do some more work, and then probably would need to come back again in this next spring. So probably 3 shoulder seasons to get that work completed in time. All right, yeah, and the big one. So the Civic Center improvements. So this is, as Alan mentioned, about $40 million of the total 300 bond that was approved. Construction season is going to be hitting this summer, so 2025, and it'll probably go about 18 to 20 months is our hope. And this one is a design build contract, so we've hired Howard S. Wright, a year ago, I guess. And they've been hard at work with their design team, getting the design ready for us to go to construction. But there is a significant amount of work that they plan on putting together in some separate bid packages listed here. So sometime around May, mid-May, there's going to be a demolition work, abatement, that'll probably be handled directly by the city. But structural steel, concrete, excavation, all those work activities are going to be needed on this project, and they're going to be looking for subs to perform that effort. And then the second package in later in June to include what's listed there as well. So roofing, framing, drywall, glazing, flooring, architectural woodwork, painting, landscaping, and cleaning. So just a lot, as you can imagine. Very, very significant project. A lot of hands needed to make the improvements that we need. I've got Evan's actually here. Just point him out. His name is on the screen there, Evan Grimm, with his contact information, and Scott Maxwell. So if you guys do have questions or interested in this project and want to learn more, feel free to contact those names on the screen, or Evan can take questions afterwards. I can take questions as well. We just are nearing 50% design development plans. 100% design this Friday. So after that, our next milestone is we'll be developing construction documents. And so Evan wanted me to point out that if there are any folks here that are interested in helping us develop those CD documents and providing costing information for some of this work, definitely get a hold of him. And we're probably gonna want to, or our plan is to come back to this group later this spring before May to talk more specific about this project in a little more detail, and have Howard Right be maybe more of a center point, and they can kind of go through their processes and kind of the things that they need for their bids. So I think that might be it for me. So, there we go. Yeah. So I'll hand it off to the next assistant.
Thanks, Aaron. James Winslow, Assistant City Engineer in PMT1, which is the utilities group. But Alan, I couldn't help notice that we're buried here at the end, even though we're group number one. And Rick and I like to joke about that. It's probably because our utilities, our water, sewer, and stormwater are mostly underground. So how many underground utility contractors do we have here in the room? Okay, we got a couple. Excellent. So I won't be wasted airspace. We have a great team. Our director just highlighted on Monday for an emergency work repair council that happened over the holidays. But with our utility program, we have about 192 million over the next 5 years. That's not what's coming up in what I'm going to talk about now, but that's just our 5-year program of needs. They're actually probably a lot higher than that based on some of the other needs, and we're figuring that out. So, but I'm going to highlight our water, sewer, and stormwater work right now. Thank you, sir. Within the water group, the couple of projects we have being bid, Ewald is a water main replacement project. That's should be going out in April. It's got an estimate about 1.2 million, so look for that one. We're about 90%, closer to 100% design on Laurel Ave water line, so that should be hitting the streets here in a month or two, March. Again, a little bit smaller, about 400,000 is our estimate. That's upsizing a 2-inch line to an 8-inch line on about 600 feet to serve a infill. And then Commercial Street, our group sometimes handles some of the bond, the program that we're talking about, that utility avoidance. This is one of them. We're designing a water line replacement. Again, about 1.4 million, and that should be coming out this winter, spring for bid. Let me hit the next one, please. Another water, if you heard us last year, we were talking about a number of projects out at Guerin Island. Some of those are we didn't get some grant funding, and we're going after some other grant funding for the bridge, but we do have a flow maintenance project. So basically dredging kind of above Upper Bennett Dam, so that ensures that we have water flow, sufficient water flow to the city. That's really critical and crucial. So that's one of our higher priority projects. That's about 3.5 million. Again, that'll be happening in July of 26, but we'll be looking at getting that out in this winter for bidding. Next. Within the wastewater group, we have a lot of work out at Willow Lake. Some of that, or most of that's going to be alternative delivery. So either CMGC, construction manager, general contractor, or CMAR, they're similar, construction manager at risk. It's just one of the alternative delivery processes. We like to do that for the larger projects that have a lot of risk in terms of schedule or process. We don't want any SSOs or any issues at Willow Lake treating the sewage. Same thing with treating our water. So if we can get the contractor on board as a partnership early in that alternative delivery process, CMAR, CMGC is just one of those avenues. Progressive design build that Aaron was just talking about with Civic is another one. So look for some of those to come out in the future as well. But right now, we have a pump station force main evaluation. That was the one I was just referencing. We had a couple lines fail on us in Kaiser, so we really need to evaluate that line and some of the others that have been on in our program and just making sure those get done. There will likely be repairs out of that evaluation. So that's a good one. So if anybody does pipeline evaluation, particularly force mains, come talk to me. We're looking at that. We are putting out probably construction in 26. We don't know where the bid is. We got to go to council. We're working with DEQ on a state revolving fund loan. And once we get that dialed in and we finish design, that'll go out to bid. So I don't have a date for that yet, but that's about 3.5 to 4 million. That does involve not just a pump station replacement there on Ferry Street, but also an overflow line down to the Pringle Creek area. So there's buildings, electrical pumps, as well as the underground sewer utility as well. So look for that one to come out here the next year. And then within the stormwater group, we have Shelton Ditch. We're securing permits right now. That's going to be about a $600,000 project. That's in Reach 4, so about where 24th Street Bridge is. Some stream bank stabilization is basically what that is in that area. And then we have a lot of flooding and storm drain projects coming up that we are working on. Kubler and Lone Oak is one of them that should be coming out. There's a few others. We do have Deer Haven Culvert and 16th Street Culvert that we may be replacing those, and not just for structural or needs to replace, but also have to replace them to address fish passage. So those are just a couple projects in that stormwater group that are coming up next. I think that is it, and I'll transition it to Shauna. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Shauna Self with the Contracts and Procurement Division, which is part of finance. I've been with the city for almost 26 years now. And what I want to talk about is how to go on to OregonBuys. And this is where a majority of our contracts or our bids and requests for proposals will be located. You can go on there, download the complete bid packages. It also allows you to look to see if you can only do a part of the package, to go on and see who has downloaded the complete package, look and see about when they're submitting bids to the general contractors. Another great opportunity is to go to pre-bid conferences whenever they're available, to go network with some of the general contractors and learn about what projects they're going to be bidding on, and if you can submit any subcontractor bids to them. Also, I have a list of all of our upcoming annual contracts that the city is going to be bidding out this year. It ranges from concrete trench patching, there's some appraisal services, architectural services. So there's a big gamut of different opportunities out there. If you'd like a copy, I have those available. And I have my business card if you'd like to learn more about some of our contracting opportunities. Also, part of the bond is our enterprise planning system, and that will be, we'll have that done here the end of this year, and that'll be a great opportunity for vendors to go on our portal, register, and that'll be great for local companies, minority businesses to get in the city for some of those smaller projects or learn about what the city's doing. Currently, we don't have like a general vendor system, so this will really allow you to connect with more of the departments and divisions to see what business opportunities are out there for even smaller dollar amounts plus the larger ones. Thank you.
Thanks, Shauna. All right, so just a couple more things before we get to Q&A here. I did want to mention that you can track a lot of project information on the city website. So the links are in the PowerPoint here, but an easy way to get there is just to Google Salem Safety and Livability Bond. That'll take you right to our bond project page. Salem construction projects will take you to what's in active construction. So that's a great resource to track what's happening. For those that are interested, for bond projects, we do meet with an oversight committee consisting of the mayor, a few city councilors, and some citizen members, where we talk about the program in detail and get guidance from them and oversight from them on what we're up to. So you can see recordings of those meetings and all the materials from those meetings at that website as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to show a few photos of the work that's been done in 2024. Like I mentioned, it was a busy season and going to get even busier. So this is a picture of the first phase of McGillchrist, the intersection at 22nd. I don't know if this thing will. Oh yeah. Our first pavement R&R, which is rehab and replacement, was a segment of Commercial Street down south between Fabry and I-5 ramps. And then this block right north of City Hall on Liberty Street between Mill and Trade. So this is the intersection at Trade Street. And I think this next picture is a picture of the impact panel that we placed at the north end of the Liberty Street Bridge, adjacent to that project, where we were able with this project to fix a settlement problem. Those of you that drove that every day probably remember that bump fondly. Now you don't have to hit it every day. So this is Minto Island parking lot number 3. So one of our early projects from the bond was to repave this parking lot and the dog park parking lot out there. Hayesville pump station. So these are a few utility slides too. This is a new pump station that we built in the north part of town. Willow Lake improvements. So our wastewater treatment plant that James mentioned, this is a hydraulic improvement project that we did out there. Water system improvements. This is at our aquifer storage and recovery well field in Woodmansee Park. So giving us redundancy in our source of water for the city water system. So we have some wells that we use to supplement the water that James showed you from the Guerin Island slide. And then this is finished new filter out at our Guerin Island water treatment plant, which is the main source of water for the city's drinking water out off the North Santiam. So a lot of work wrapping up and a lot more to come. And that's our presentation. So we'd be happy to take any questions that you have, and we'll go from there. Yeah, Jackie.
So he was talking about the commissions and committees with the traffic advisory team and all of that. I just got on one of those for, I don't even know the name. I can't remember. I went to one meeting, but it was extremely fascinating. And because of the industry that all of you guys are in, I highly encourage you to go onto the city website and submit an application for various committees, because that will put you in contact with people who know things and will help you probably. But also it's so helpful to have insight from people who know what they're doing as to why we may or may not want to vote one way in the committee. So I highly encourage you guys to do that. I'm sure any of these people can help you and direct you on that. So I'm just putting a plug in for that.
Yes, thank you. Second that for sure. So what questions can we answer for all? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, are we going to pass the mics? For those of you that are old like me, you'll remember the Phil Donahue show. Yeah,
that's right.
It was mentioned that the Greer Park skate park that's adjacent to the other work has already been assigned to a contractor. Could you give the name of who that contractor is?
Yeah, if you didn't, for the sake of the recording, Paul Brothers is the general contractor, and Evergreen is the skate designer / contractor that is doing that. Any other questions?
Other questions?
Yeah, Governor, what's her name? Oh, Kotek, sorry. Governor Kotek recently signed an executive order regarding labor agreements on state-funded projects. So are there any current projects that the city has where that is going to come into play?
Yeah, thanks for the question about labor agreements. So yeah, we saw that executive order too, and there was some question about what its scope was. We've gotten clarification recently that it doesn't apply to any of the city projects that we're working on. So it'll be business as usual for us as far as contracting goes.
This one's for humanity's sake. Sir, what do you do? I'm curious. The gentleman on the end, I don't recall you speaking, so I'm curious what you do.
Yes, thank you. I'm Aaron Edelman, engineering program manager. I'm in the transportation group with Rick, so doing a lot of the transportation work behind the scenes. So. Any other questions?
I do want to say again, thanks to James, Tom, and Dan, and the whole chamber team. We really appreciate the opportunity and the ability to get in front of you all. Our contact information is available, and I encourage you to reach out to us. We can connect you with individual project managers, so you can get questions answered and keep track of progress as these projects are coming forward. And as I mentioned before, we have a PDF of the PowerPoint, so we can get that out to folks on the distribution list if you're interested as well. So thank you all very much. We really appreciate your time this morning.